Okay, so for f of x equals x times e to the power of x. This is a product rule. All right, and as such, we would have like the first part times the second part. That's how we recognize that there's a product rule. Well, the first part in this case is x, and the second part is e to the x. Taking the derivative of this, we would have the first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first, right? And the first is equal to x. The derivative of the first is equal to 1. The second is equal to e to the x. And then the derivative of the second is equal to, what do you do with this? It's the derivative of the power goes up front. So the derivative of x is just 1.
Okay.
Right? So it would be like x prime times this piece right here, e to the x. Well, x prime is just 1. So if that's 1, then we're just left with e to the x by itself. Okay? And then we're just going to take this stuff right here and plug it in. So if y is equal to this, then y prime is equal to that, right? So y prime, or f of x prime, is equal to the first, x times the derivative of the second, which is just e to the x, plus the second, e to the x, times the derivative of the first, it's just 1, and this is all you have. This is the derivative. Now, if you need to simplify that, you can by taking out an e to the x. So I have an e to the x that can come out, and then I'll have an x plus 1. All right. And for this particular problem, they want you to find the equation of the tangent line. Well, what I'm doing right here, this is what would go into the second column, right? So the first column being y1 is equal to f of x1, and we have that being f of 0. All right, and so then I plug in a 0 everywhere I have x. So 0 times e to the power of 0. You remember what our original function is x times e to the x. So 0 times anything, though, is 0. So my y1 is equal to 0. That's what goes in the first column, right? In the second column, we would find our slope. So our slope is equal to,
f prime of x.
very good, f prime of x1. All right, and we already calculated this out up here. Typically, you would do what we did up there, you would do it right here. Okay, so this is just going to be f prime of x to start with, and we came up with e to the x times x plus 1. And now we have to do f prime of x1. Well, x1 is 0. And if you want, you can always write that up here. So x1 equals 0, right? And maybe put a box on it. That way you know what it is. So when you're working on it, you're good to go. All right, so f prime of x1 is the same thing as f prime of 0. And then we're going to, and that's the same thing as your slope. So m, therefore, is equal to e to the power of 0 times 0 plus 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. And if you're ever confused, just throw it in the calculator. All right, so this is 1, and 1 times anything is going to be itself, so 0 plus 1 is just 1. So m is equal to 1. Now in the third column, we write out our y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And then we fill in the shit that we know. So y minus y1 is 0 is equal to m, which is 1, times x minus x1, which is 0. This goes away, so we have y is equal to 1 times x is just x, 1 times 0 is just 0. That's the equation of my tangent line. And this is y equals mx plus b. All right? What's the m?
1.
What's the b? Good. Okay?